Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Eyes on the chat. Nobody watching yet, but good evening. This is NHPUK Party Talk, and tonight's guest is our very own Steve Loud and our very newest member, Stuart. How are you, Stuart?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Today, not too bad.
Tell us a bit about yourself, Stuart.
I'm 56. Been separated from my missus 5.5 years. Got 3 kids, aged 16. One coming up 21, the other 25. 2 boys. The youngest and my eldest was born a girl, but is now she's a transgender.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Is it the Brighton area you're from again?
Yeah, it's I've always lived in.
You don't have to say Brighton area is good enough. That's all you've got to say. That's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
But Stuart, thank you for coming on board. Stuart also attended one of our monthly meetings last night as well, which we do with everyone. If someone joins a party, they want to get involved, we'll invite them to the monthly meeting to show what we're doing. We go through our finances, we go through our campaigns. Obviously, we fundraise, and we're not rich billionaires like the Tories. We do need money, and we're getting leaflets sorted out. And I think, Steve, have your leaflets been ordered, Steve?
They have. They're on their way, mate. Yeah. So we're going to get rolling with that as soon as they arrive, pretty much. So
this is a national housing party. We're working all the time. Steve just said the leaflets are on the way. Then you've got some work getting them out. And what we normally do is one of our introduction leaflets, and then when the election comes, it'll be the particular election leaflet for the person who's running. We don't really have any qualms about anything that goes on a leaflet, because as you'll find in a lot of areas, some issues can range really differently in other areas compared to some areas. So obviously no individual leaflet is really going to be the same. Might have some of the same issues on, fly tipping, housing, but they're not all going to be the same. But that's a national housing party, guys. So I've said that. So get some money to us. And I want some of you reform lot as well to put some money in here. Big John come down to your conference the other day doing some really good videos, got some good networking done, and you lot liked the stuff I do, so you can start donating as well. That's what you can do. I know you might be members of Reform, but I got several people saying, well done, John, keep it up, because I'm running in local elections. So get some money to me, Reform candidates, please. It's all right. You don't need to be afraid of getting cancelled. You know what I mean? I am a bona fide political party. But anyway, before we start, I've got a little bit of a tune going, because you know that in less than 30 days, we've got the US presidential election. So let's just have a bit of a tune. If you want to stand to it, that'll do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is going up against Kamala Harris. It is woke versus normal person, or normal person versus woke. Now, you know, I'm not going to go in tonight, myself personally, into anything to do with economics in America. I'm not going to say that Donald Trump's got more people employed or anything. I'm not going to say any of that rubbish. What I am going to say is something that's really close to my heart, and that's like cancel culture and biasness. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is the most persecuted person in the world on social media. And the fact that nobody said anything, and all these black people and all these liberals used to suck up to Donald Trump before he said he was running as president. Then as soon as he run as president and opened his mouth, you don't like him. It just shows the total epitome of what human beings are like these days, especially liberal human beings. Now, they've even, as Stuart said, they've even changed laws so they can get him convicted on things in a particular state or something like that. What the hell's going on, guys? Is this how really we want to be in a, like, is this how it's going to be? I know our media are bad. I know it's bad over here. It's worse over there. And we've had the Donald's had two assassination attempts against him, and it's not even on the news hardly. If that would have been Kamala Harris, it'd have been mainstream news for 200 years.
It would have been riots.
There'd be riots. It'd be talked about forever. America would be burning now. No one says when it's Donald Trump. It's just ridiculous.
And they probably stand back like they did with the BLM riots, saying, "Oh, you know, we've got to understand what they're going through."
And there was a cost, weren't there? There was a financial cost for the BLM riots in America. During the stream, I'll try and get some figures up for you, but there was a financial cost through all them rioting. And the ongoing thing about BLM now is shops are shutting down because just black people is going in, robbing them all the time, like they're entitled to it. And that's why I think America, no one can tell me that I'm blind and I don't see that. You know what I mean? That's what's going on. But anyway, so that's my major gripes is the biasness against Donald Trump, and also that Kamala Harris is just a box ticker. She's only running for president because she's a woman. She ticks a box. She's got some colour in her. She can't decide whether she's black or African, but Indian. But we know that she's lied somewhere down the line. And Stuart will get to that in a bit. And like, she supports liberal values and all that. The woman ain't got a clue. She ain't got no business head on her or anything like that. And she's only starting to talk about things, even though she's been vice president for 3.5 years or whatever. She's only bringing issues up now because it's election time. So she is, to me, Donald Trump is the most persecuted person online, and she's the most woke candidate we've ever had for a presidency or an election. But that's just me. But Steve, what do you think?
Well, yeah, some very interesting points there. I think personally, if you're anyone that has a bit of sense about you in the States, you should sort of realise that slander, it should kind of work in his favour because whilst the media, the mainstream, represses and shadow bans a lot of his stuff or whatever, or paints him in this really sort of terrible light, that should be an incentive to sort of vote that way. Now, when it comes to Kamala Harris, she's very much just like the Labour Party here. She's full of platitudes, just says things that are completely meaningless. Like, I watch her, right, and she talks about, like, she says words like change. It's like, change what? Change what you did already. What are you changing? Because you've been in power already. Do you know what I mean? So talk about change. I don't know what you're trying to change. But I find American politics in particular really kind of bizarre. And I think we need to look back to things like the JFK assassination. And when you're looking into stuff like this, and is there like a shadow government almost.
Cabal, yeah. Is there a cabal?
That doesn't want, what he's promoting, the same sort of things that sort of JFK did. Now, when you look at the Democrats, like you said, they promoted things like BLM. I remember watching a news clip once of, like, I think it was a CNN reporter, and the city was on fire behind them, and the guy was going, "Yeah, it's mostly peaceful." It's like, and I genuinely, I don't know how long they can sort of keep this facade up. I was looking at some polls today, and they said he's on about 64%, something like that. But the American voting system is a little bit confusing as well, because you can win not the popular vote, but the states. You can do it like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Also, I think something worthy to note as well is the election is on the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November.
November. Steve. So, Stuart, what do you think about it?
There is definitely a deep state that's probably been running since even before the First World War. League of Nations, which turned into the UN, that's had huge influences. You mentioned JFK. From what I have understood, the AIPAC, which is an Israel Jewish lobbying body, shall we say, with huge influence. It used to be called like the American Zionists, and JFK was about to, in America, you can, if you are influencing American politics in any way, you, from a foreign country, you're supposed to like register yourself, so they know that you're lobbying on behalf of a foreign country. Well, JFK was about to sign that into law for that group, literally a few weeks away from signing that. The term conspiracy theory never existed before JFK, because they deliberately wanted to muddy the waters. And I personally think, since then, America's been done that way, and it's just expanded around the world. And probably we've always been part of it. And I do think what Steve said about the media in America, people are cottoning on. The mainstream media over there, their viewing figures are plummeting. More and more people are going to bloggers online, podcasters, people who will actually tell you the correct information. They come with receipts. They'll show you the official, like for the UN with their agendas 2030, etc. The online bloggers and podcasters will actually put theirs there. It is enshrined. It's in there. It's not something you can speculate about. It's not a conspiracy. And the mainstream media over there and over here just blanket you.
Right. You're right.
They smother proper information.
Yeah, they do, and it's good job. We do have independent YouTubers, journalists, and stuff like that. And why it is a good job is that they want to ban social media. They're after taking all platforms down. This is what they're after doing. And they say it's about misinformation. It isn't. It's about factual information and the real truth. And that is a big enemy of the government, the councils and stuff like that. I got told off somebody that the council are more scared of you doing a video than you're at emailing them. And I do videos about my council, the councillors, schools all the time. That's what they hate more than anything, because they can't stop that. They can't stop that. If you're talking factual information, they cannot stop that. So, you know, it ties in with a big push to shut down social media platforms.
Yeah, you've heard Hillary Clinton say it. You've heard Kamala say it, that, you know, they're communicating with millions of people without any oversight. You know, she's a communist, Marxist, whatever you want to call it. You know, her dad was a Marxist, 100% Hindu, by the way, or maybe a little bit of Caucasian, but absolutely no black in there. Again, podcasters Candice Owens has been doing an expose last week, did 2 or 3 podcasts on her history over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, it's definitely, she's misleading people. She wants them to think she's black. Like in one book that she's sort of like an autobiography type thing, she's got a picture of her and next to a fully black Negro Jamaican woman called Beryl, and this is me with my grandma Beryl when I was visiting, and it's been proven that there's no relation. Beryl worked for them, worked for the family. Seems that they have the name Finnegan in their history, white Irish slavers. And this is the sort of thing that mainstream media would never cover, because they are bought and paid for. And then someone like Candice Owens would be called a conspiracy theorist or whatever to denounce it, and it's wrong. You know, I've always brought up to tell the truth as far as you can. You know, you tell the truth, you treat people with respect, and it should go both ways. But I you know, I've no respect for any of our mainstream media, the drivel that they feed us, drip feed us the odd little bit of information here and there. I think it's absolutely awful. And if we lose free speech, which we seem to be losing inch by inch, then I worry for my kids' futures.
Yeah,
I really do.
Go on,
Yeah,
Steve.
well, yeah, well, sorry, it's just yeah, it's interesting you say that regarding the media and stuff as well. I've looked into a lot of the work that Candice Owens has been doing. I like her. I think she's genuine. The reason being is because she sort of stuck it to the Daily Wire, and if you go up against them, then you've got to be doing something right in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I think you find it weird how, like, I've always struggled with this a little bit, because we're supposed to call America our allies, right? But I think that's totally dependent on what parties are in power. So, for example, like Labour don't want Trump, right? But Labour and Democrats would call themselves allies, right? And they'd be happy to do that. Whereas a more nationalistic party would be happy to call, you know, the red ties over there allies. So I don't think, and also I think it's dependent on, like, we've always called America our allies and our brothers in war. But what if I don't agree with them wars? Do you know what I mean? And sort of who sort of funds that? So I think America and the UK, they'd be allies with Labour, so to speak, and Labour would love for Kamala to get in, but they absolutely hate Trump, just like the Democrats do as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And
Absolutely.
you know, we can't forget, one of our biggest things of the upset of this like century has been the Iraq War, and the US. They They were the prime leaders that got us into that war. You can say the Zionists behind, but it was America. You know what I mean? And it should never have gone in. And I'm not even going to get into it if I started getting into about 9/11, if I could get into that. And, you know, I'm on the edge about certain things, but even now, there's respected journalists, respected politicians pulling hers out about 9/11. And normally when a conspiracy theory comes on, it's just people who are nobodies who say it. But prominent people are saying it. So America's got a lot to answer for. There was our allies in the Second World War. They helped us at D-Day. I get that. That's great. But they've got answers to the Iraq War. And I protested. I'm 57 years old. One of my first protests were against the Iraq War. And we was calling out the Americans on the protest for taking us to war and blaming them as the ringleaders in it. You know, we get that. But on the other end, economically, America can be a very good ally for us economically. And like we've talked about this, all our goods come from China. Trump wants America building its own goods. And I remember, like, we used to have a toy called Stretch Armstrong in England, and it was made in America. And it was a really good, solid toy. And I could just think the Chinese version of that would be like a LGBTI something or other. But, you know, honestly, so, you know, economically, I think America, that's where we should lie with America economically for our resources and stuff like that. I don't know how Trump's going to go against, or if he's going to go against net zero and stuff like that. What's he going to do? Is he going to make their own power? I just don't know about that. But like I said, the fact that he was persecuted over social media, that's what wound me up more than anything else it did about the case. And I always talk about woke and box tickers, and Kamala Harris is the biggest box ticking biatch I've ever known in the entire world. You know what I mean? She's more box ticking than Angela Rayner. She's more box ticking than Diane Abbott. She ticks boxes, and that's what's made her. But, you know, I think Trump will run America well, but they don't want him running like that. And anybody who gets that kind of persecution, you know, is going down the right path.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. If you're getting people having a go at you for this, that, and the other, you know you're on the right path. These days, you know, it shouldn't be that way, but it seems to be.
Hey, look what happened to Jesus, eh?
Yeah. Oh my God!
But as well, have you ever noticed, by the way, that when Kamala Harris, I saw a picture of her not too long ago. It's from a while ago, and whenever she swears an oath, they put that she will not put her hand on the Holy Bible. She'll put a purse on it and then put her hand on the purse. She will never swear an oath and put her hand actually on the Bible. She puts something on it and then puts her hand on it. And if that doesn't say demonic to you, I don't know what does.
Now, my comment on that would be, she's a Marxist communist. Therefore, she is an atheist. She does not believe in any God apart from themselves. That's what I think, to be honest with you.
I don't think they're atheists. I think they're sort of Luciferian. I think they believe in the whole do what thou wilt. There's a whole sort of Aleister Crowley thing, don't they? Because they do all these weird rituals and stuff, and they're all part of it. They're all odd people. I don't think it's that they don't believe in God. I think they fear God, personally.
Yeah. Well, I in a way, I hope that more than not believing in anything. You know, with the transhumanism movement at the moment, get everybody chipped up, get into the Internet of Bodies. You know, I've read stuff about how frequencies can affect mood, health, mental health. I think there's a lot going on. that's being hidden from us, and the media plays a massive part in that. And to go back to the sort of deep state, I think we have a deep state. It doesn't matter really who's in charge. We're going down that road of 15-minute cities, facial recognition, total control, social credit scores, carbon credit scores.
Anyway, can I just say, I mean, the latest thing Trump come out with is that the Haitians are eating cats and dogs, and then everyone's saying no. But next minute, there's videos up of US police arresting people who have been eating cats and dogs. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. I just got some figures, so I googled up. However, arson, vandalism and looting that occurred between May 26 and June 8 caused approximately 1 to 2 billion in insured damages nationally, the highest recorded damage for civil disorder in the US history, and surpassed the record set during the 1992 Los Angeles riots. So I talked about how much money was lost. But the ongoing effect of that now is, if you look, a lot of businesses are shutting down. They're taking out the areas that are biggest deprived areas, because them were the ones that got smashed up and looted, unfortunately, by mainly majority, nearly 99% black people smashing everything up, doing Black Lives Matter riots. Now they're all crying about it. You know, I wouldn't be putting them shops back, guys. I just wouldn't. And, you know, Target, Walmart, they're all losing and closing down shops. It's all over social media. I don't need to show you this. So, you know, that's how much it cost them. And, you know, the way they've lied about stuff, like Stuart said earlier, they changed the law in a state so that they can, statute of limitations law, so they can get them charged. You know what I mean? Honestly, when they do things like that, you know they're scared, and you know that the person they do it to is the righteous person, no matter what you think. And just let me tell you, before he ran for president, I didn't have any time for Donald Trump. I didn't like him. I didn't like seeing all the stars with him, all these P. Diddy's and all these black guys and all hooked up to him and all that lot. But when he ran for president, I liked the stuff he said, because he wanted to do it. And if it weren't for other states and certain people, he would have built a wall. You know what I mean? And, you know, everyone went against him. But when Hillary Clinton was a senator around 2010, she's banging on her podium that she wants a wall built from one side of the border to the other side, all the way through. That's what she's screaming for. But then when Donald Trump said it, oh, no, he wants to build a wall. Fuck off, honestly. I just can't be doing with weak human beings. I can't. There's a lot of people are weak human beings, but go on. Oh.
Yeah, but also they were making out like that was some sort of a brand new idea, and like no other country has ever built a wall. Do you know there's a massive wall around Hungary? And look at their immigration. It's one of the best in Europe. It's pretty good. And actually, because they won't bend the knee to the EU, they're getting fined like €1 million a day because of it.
Same with Poland, isn't it? That's the same.
And look, I just hope that they'll be the next two to leave, and then you know, the rest will follow, and the EU will crumble eventually. But they used to make out like oh my God, he's building the wall. He's this big, you know, huge, like horrible dictator. Like no other country has ever done it. They even did it in Ireland. Do you know what I mean? Like there's walls and borders everywhere, right? But the media just placated it into this big, huge issue that actually would have been a relatively normal idea. But when you were saying earlier, John, about it, you know, when he's talking about resources and stuff like that, putting it back to the American people, I think that's really, really interesting and a really great idea, because this all started a very long time ago as well. And it happened in Britain, and a lot of our proceeds, actually, this was something to do with the investors in Wall Street in America, right? So we used to have a massive cotton and wool industry in places like Lancashire and Lancaster, right? We did have the people that could do it. That's a lie when they say, oh, no, we need immigrants to do the work. No, we had thriving industries. But what happened is these big, greedy fat cats in Wall Street, and some in the city of London, actually, decided to outsource this to basically child labour in places like Taiwan and stuff like that, where there's awful, terrible conditions, and that still happens today. And they had to shut our industries down to do that so that they make a profit. And it's one of the most sickening things that's ever happened in Western politics, I think. And we need to change that.
It's not just a profit; it's a massive profit they were making. They was making a profit anyway, but you know, greedy fat cats wanted to make it more. And you're exactly right. We lost all our industry. The same in America. All went to Taiwan, China, and stuff like that, which is all second-rate stuff. But like you said, people are working there in unsafe, unhealthy conditions. I've talked about this. Buildings have fell down on them and stuff like that. People die there all the time, squalid conditions. And a lot of them will be like, is it an indentured servitude, isn't it?
Indentured servitude, yeah.
Indentured servitude, they are actually slaves, and that's happening right now. And we buy all this stuff now, but before, America made their own stuff. Before, Britain made their own stuff. The cotton industry, like Steve just said, that we was world dominating. We had the best of everything to do with cotton, all the machinery and the industry, and we've lost it all. They sold it all off. They let it go to Taiwan and all. So not just the companies make more money, but the members of the European Parliament make more money because China give them donations. Our members of Parliament make more money because China give them donations, and I will get the people who've been donated from China. So, you know, let's sell everything we've got and give it to Taiwanese or the Chinkies or whatever. No, I'm not. I'm just not having it, me. I'm not having it. You know, my mum was a factory girl. My mum worked through the revolution of like women's rights and skilled pay and that, working a sewing machine all her life. And the same with all the women and the grandmas who were from Wales. You had that industry there, and they've just sold it all off, guys. And I said this on every TikTok I go. I always go on about how they sold our industry and give it away to the rest of the world. And nearly everybody, whether they're left, right, will agree with that. You know what I mean? And we need it back. And you know, if Trump gets in and he starts promoting US stuff, then we need to start doing it as well.
Thatcher, I believe, when she started privatising everything, that was when we started selling everything off. It was the start of losing a lot of our industry. Transfer of wealth. I mean, they talk about transfer of wealth during COVID, you know, the biggest transfer of wealth from bottom to top. But if you take it over a much wider scale, 40, 50 years, the transfer of wealth has been much more massive. And you talk about industries. Once you lose those industries, you lose that know-how, that knowledge, that experience. And once it's gone, it's going to be difficult to get back. You know, when was it? When I was a kid, it was always made in Britain by British. We need to promote that. I really do. But
made in England.
Sorry?
Made in England. Fucking dead right.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't mind paying a bit extra to get made in Britain and quality and invest in this country.
Yeah, I think fact of the matter is, though, that there's been this big, huge media conglomerate lie that people believe, young people believe, that we don't have those industries because people in Britain don't want to do them jobs. And that is one of the biggest lies ever told. In fact, these industries are sold off to other foreign markets and stuff. You know, you can talk about the clothing market and stuff, and like the Taiwanese people don't make any money from that. No, neither do the Chinese. Actually, it all goes to investors in Wall Street and all these big fat cats. You know what I mean? So it's nothing for the people.
This was my first flat cap that I bought, like, went since political, and the first flat made in England, Jackson and James, not no cheap shit. You know what I mean? I love me made in England stuff. I really do. And you know, we've got quality here. We've got we have the best steel industry, and and so did America. And you know, they've lost a lot of their stuff now. But like we sold it off, and it's in China, and we have cheap Chinese steel making. It's just rubbish. But you know, if America want to economically grow, then I agree with that, and I think we should go that way as well, and we should do more of our own stuff if we can ever get to it.
Absolutely.
But it's always. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say about the economics and Trump changing things. You know, he has said on day one, drill, baby, drill. You know, he's going to use the American resources. And yes, I do think there's still going to be green options. I don't think anyone's going to fully stop that. But you've got to take away what they want to do to bring everything green. You know, you cannot get rid of fossil fuels. Well, what they call fossil fuels. It can't be done. And reducing it is just going to limit economic growth, limit population growth, just like Ursula von der Leyen said the other week in one of her speeches. We you know, our country, what do we really make anymore? We're not famous for making anything.
You know what we make? We make pizzas and kebabs and curries. That's what we make now. We don't have a good industry. We've lost all our. My mum was a sewing machinist, and none of that industry is here now. None of it. And the factory she used to work for, the company, it's still here, but they only have like one place now. Whereas when I was a teenager, they had like 10, 20 places just in Oldham. They've only got one place. The industry around cotton and that kind of manufacturing, it's gone. And that's what built up a lot of our towns across Wales and Northwest and stuff. That's what built us up, and all that's gone. Last coal power station went the other day. Honestly, we're doomed. We're doomed. But come on, number one for Donald and number two for Kamala Harris. So if you want Donald Trump to win, a number one. If you think Kamala Harris is going to win, number two. And I talked to a lefty the other day, and he said that he thinks Donald Trump's going to win, and he was a proper hardcore lefty. Let me just tell you that. And he said he looked at the polls, he explained them to us, and he said, "What's George saying there now?" The 3 trillion national debt is mirrored the loss of our manufacturing base and the importation of foreigners to make false metric of GDP look good, but that is all long-term debt as well. No, you're right. You're right, George. Well done for that, George. Thank you very much. And I agree with that. And, you know, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. What we're going to do, guys, you know. So if we were in government now, us three were in government, what would you be looking at maybe doing with the US on you'd have to be looking at doing something about tariff on goods and stuff like that. That's what you'd have to be looking at. And I know that Trump has said he's going to put 100% tariff on Chinese goods when they come into the country. Now, I just think that's fantastic, that, because that'll give a boost to the American economy. And last time we were in, it was better for businesses, middle businesses and stuff like that in America. And that's what we want, to bring the economy back. We're just going to end up a drained country with nothing if we leave it this. I see Sheffield Steel's mentioned there. Yeah, they were. Gerald, best steel in the world, mate. Best steel in the world. No one can doubt that. America, Britain and America, the best steel in the entire world. There's no doubt in it on that kind of stuff. The resources as well. If you continue to coal, everything around coal, all the machinery and all that, it's all European. It's all Britain, Great Britain, all the steam machines and all that. We've got big. The museum in Manchester has loads on it, and we've got a museum in Oldham about the first steam-driven mills and stuff like that, and that stuff went all over the world. You know what I mean? But it's just unfortunate, like Steve said, that now we buy from around the world. We know that there's little kids in dangerous conditions and adults making all our Adidas tracksuit tops and all our Umbro stuff and all that lot. Yeah, it's cheaper and all that, but I just feel for the people who are making it and in the shitty conditions that they're making it. You know, and, you know, that is something to do with capitalism. But, you know, if we didn't have so many rich people wanting to just be rich all the time, it'd be better for people and people will get money. Now we've come out of the EU, I think we should be buying certain things from, like, say, Africa. Now, being in the common market, this is just a simple breakdown. Being in the common market meant that we had to buy our oranges for £1 an orange. This is just an example. Obviously, it's not £1 an orange, but coming out of the common market means that now we can go to Africa or we can go to South America and buy an apple for 10 pence an apple. So then the cost of it coming further and all that is still less, and we're saving money. Plus, we're building up that country's economy. Now, the EU don't want that. They want you buying your oranges from Spain. That's what they want to do, so they keep the money within the EU. They're not bothered about the rest of the world. I would be buying my stuff from Africa. It'd be cheaper. I'd be buying it from South America. It'd be cheaper. Just as good quality. We do have to worry about health and stuff like that and GMOs and all this kind of thing and making sure things are tested. But on a simple scale, that's what I told my niece. That's what I told her about the common market. Now she was here. She's 16 going on 17. She don't believe in common market because she sees how it doesn't distribute the wealth around. And our Shania is more for, like, she wants Africa to be bigged up. So now Shania wants to start buying goods from Africa rather than Europe. We're out of the European Union. We're not part of that market. We can buy from America. We can buy from South America. That's what we should be doing. But, you know, that's how it goes. And these are only simple ways. I know they make it sound dead difficult, politicians, but it isn't that difficult. If you can run the bloody corner shop for 30 years, I'm sure you can sort out some of the economics in Britain. I'm fucking positive.
What I would like to know, one question is, what does our Office for Budget Responsibility actually do? I mean, most of our budget is not responsible. You know, we as English people, we are pay our taxes should be for English people and the English country. You know, we shouldn't be sending money abroad to foreign wars. Has anybody actually asked us if we want to support Ukraine and go to war?
They don't need to ask us.
There's no vote.
And the other week they were really sorry, we're not going to be able to give pensioners their fuel allowance because we've got 22 billion hole in the budget. Bloody Tories. 2 days ago, I see a thing about, I think it was in the Telegraph, 22 billion is going to be spent on an experimental carbon capture project that has already failed several times to do what it says it's going to do. And it's ridiculous. You're going to pay some probably foreign company, maybe Chinese, to make the carbon capture unit, and we don't need it. You're taking away You're going to kill some pensioners this year. They're going to get too cold, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, you're more likely to die of cold than you are of heat. That's the first thing. And why they're spending money on the carbon con, they're going full ahead with it, regardless of what the people think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've got some polls up by The Economist, but it's roughly the same everywhere. Says like roughly the same that like that. And you know, on TikTok the other week we were talking, and as a lefty, he explained, he put information up on screen. He talked about how he knows about the polls. 30 minutes, and I absolutely believe the guy. And even he said that he thinks Trump's going to win. Honestly, that's what he said to me. That's what he said to me. He talked about he didn't like the way the media had treated Trump. That's what he said, you know, and I've got to respect him for that kind of position. Obviously, your basic lefty won't say anything like that. They won't say that, you know, or anything. But you know, I just thought that these kind of things were. But it's happened to our politicians. They've been cancelled and taxed and put down by the media. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's the wake up thing. Oh, why me? You know what I mean? Honestly, the fucking lying scumbags, all our politicians. Sorry for swearing. Lying scumbags here. Look what Labour's done. I can't see Starmer keeping him. But anyway, listen. That bloody woke Kamala Harris better not get in. She don't know whether she's black or Indian. And, you know, she can't even, that's all she knows. She don't know. She don't know she's lying anyway.
And do you know, the other day, she was in an interview and she was criticising Trump for the Chinese tariffs. Unbeknown to her, the very same day, Biden had upped those tariffs even higher than Trump had. And why they can't show that in their mainstream media? Because, you know, like you say, she wants change. Going to turn the page.
Listen, let me leave it to you two. My mum's
Joy.
I'm just going to see to my mum.
No problem.
Is this seriously the best they have in America? Like for the Democrats, is this the best they have? Because it's absolutely wild. I wanted to touch on something very briefly that you said earlier, and regarding when you were talking about like the green agenda, the whole carbon emissions lie. To be honest, what they do with this entire agenda, to me, is how I feel, is the whole thing is gaslighting, for want of a better word, because there's no way to enforce this green agenda without overtaxing the people for it. So when they say, "Oh, you know, we need to save the planet," I mean, I don't think we can affect the planet that much anyway. That's God's will, to be honest. But all of these things that they make you do, these enforcements on your life, are only better then in monitoring control and taxing the people. It's like everything they do regarding saving the planet is to tax us. It's the same in the States as well. So if Trump were to talk a little bit more about that maybe and say, because there are environmentalists on the right as well to an extent, if we sort of keep them happy and say, here's some ideas about how to do things better that you can productively do as a community and do this, and we're not going to tax the shit out of you, then great. I think he'd soar in the polls. But I've not heard much from him in that regard. I also think as well, I think America's economy in general is failing a lot more than people like to think. There's countries now buying out of the petrodollar. There's countries in Africa that aren't going to trade in the US dollar anymore. You've got things like BRICS being set up with Russia and African nations and stuff. I think it's in trouble. I think it's in big, big trouble. And I certainly don't think the Democrats are going to sort that out anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. When it comes to the, how do I put this? The Western economies are, I believe, are being crashed deliberately. The immigration's being done deliberately.
I agree.
And also the uselessness of our politicians. You know, like you said, it really is the best they've got over in America. That, well, we've got the same here. The same in France. You know, a lot of these countries have weak leaders that are following the UN agenda, sustainable goals, all part of the environment to save
they're
the
making
earth.
us. It's like they're trying to make us pick out of a bunch of clowns. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of these people, like some of the things they say are bizarre. Some of their mannerisms are really very not normal as well when I watch them. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, like, have you ever heard of something called physiognomy? It's when you kind of get a little bit of a weird vibe from someone's sort of facial gestures and stuff.
Yeah.
All the politics, they're all like that, man. It gives me the creeps, you know?
Well, Klaus Schwab, I mean, he's renowned for saying, you know, the World Economic Forum founder was renowned for saying, to bring about the next industrial revolution, we need to make an angrier world, which they are doing with the migration, with stripping away social cohesion. And I think that's been going on for a long time. Financial pressures on the family to strip the family, take away your father out of the house. You then got weak, undisciplined males. It all makes for a worse or disruptive society, so that everything goes to pot, and then all the big corporations come in as not salvation. They bring salvation. Oh, don't worry, we'll look after you. You haven't got a job anymore because AI or robots are taking over. Don't worry, you've got a universal basic income. But you know, if you speak out of turn, you know, your basic income would be cut.
That was a bit mad. I could hear my mum mumbling to herself, and she don't talk much now. But I've gone in. The telly's on pause. She was listening to some music, but we've been talking about Trump, and my mum never liked him. So I'm wondering if she's heard me, overheard me. I just wonder. That's why she's saying something. But it just freaked me out a little bit, because she don't normally mumble or say anything unless someone's there in the room, and there's no one in the room. So, but it caught me off guard a little bit, that. But thank you very much, everyone in the chat. Some good questions. I like that one that Gerald said. Stop all foreign aid, supporting Ukraine conflict, all welfare to foreigners. We could pay our national debt in a few years. We could. And I mean, France don't give immigrants any chance. They don't get instant benefits in France and or in Germany, I think. So, you know, we're a soft touch. No wonder they're coming over here. But in the end, I hope that Donald Trump gets a presidency just to shut them up and see how they all flounder. And I hope that some of the conflicts in the world will end when he becomes president. If Kamala carries on being president, if she becomes president, we can guarantee that Ukraine will go on for longer. More stuff will be done. We can guarantee that there'll be more conflicts started in the world if she gets in. But under Trump, I think a lot of them conflicts will be nullified. Obviously, he's an Israel supporter. I'm not saying he's a Zionist. I'm just saying he's an Israel supporter. But I still think that it's someone like Donald Trump will stop the conflicts going on now in between Israel and Gaza by saying, look, Israel, you're bullies and we're not going to stop backing you. And that should shut them up then. That should absolutely stop everything that's going on over there. But, you know, we can only hope. I did try, and I will, before the next few weeks, I'm going to try and get our mate David Trump on. And you'll know David Trump. A couple of years ago, he had that really good mask, went to all demos, spoke and all that. And I know he still likes the Trump era and stuff like that. A bit late to contacting him, but I'm sure I'll be able to get him on in the next couple of weeks. So I just want to go through a couple of things. I'm in Liverpool this Saturday, networking, possible party candidate coming up, and I'm going to speak at a demo in Liverpool Pierhead, and I think it's 1 o'clock start. So if you're in Merseyside, you want to pop down to Liverpool 1 Pierhead, I think it's called. I will find what it is. That's where I'm going to be around 1 p.m. speaking about running in elections, speaking about the state of our councils across the country, talking about box tickers who are in the council who can't run the council properly. That's what I'm going to be speaking about. But that's in Liverpool. And obviously, I'm the main reason I'm going networking because there is a possible candidate for us going to that demo, and there's a few other people, main heads, who might get involved politically. And we've met up with a few guys. We met up with one called from Unite the North, a lad from Unite the North, and they're interested. They're interested in promoting our political party and people to run in elections eventually. So as a party leader, I've got to be involved in all these things. So I'll be going to Liverpool, networking and trying to get some candidacies. Andrew, good move there. Blackpool, definitely. We looked at Blackpool and we should have really had a candidate in Blackpool.
You'll have to excuse me for just a moment.
We've seen that there was a gap appearing, and I knew that Blackpool would go to someone else, and it has done. So, Reform candidate has won. Is it the MP election, Andrew? Sure, it's a by-election. Was it?
When was this? Recently? They won in Blackpool?
Yeah, just very recently.
Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't know about it. That's interesting.
I'm not sure, though, if it was a by-election or what, but when we first started the party, we had our eyes on Blackpool because there's going to be big change. There would be big change in that area, and we had our eyes on there. I did go down. I did talk to someone, but he never come out for us in the end. But it would have been good, and I'm sure it was. Let me just let's see.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never ventured that way. Never been Blackpool.
I went Blackpool 6-7 years ago with my kids when they were a bit younger. Spent like Monday to Friday there on a Park Dean Resorts type thing, caravan and all that. I really liked Blackpool. It was when it was like eat out to help out and all of that, so it was a bit of a crazy time. But yeah, there's plenty to do up there. Even for my three, who were all quite different, it was quite easy to keep them all happy for the 4 days.
Yeah, so they voted the first UK Reform councillor after the party's candidate Jim O'Neill won the Martin by-election, taking a seat from Labour. you know, we honest to God, guys, we'd weighed up Blackpool at the very beginning, even before we got registered. So if you're in the Blackpool area, you're interested in running for a party, get in contact with us. It's a good run in Blackpool. It certainly is, and it's one of our premier areas that's been absolutely desecrated. You know, and I don't want to go. I mean, I could tell you about Blackpool all day long. I could tell you about how many paedophiles are in Blackpool. I could tell you what the state of the town and that is now. You know what I mean? Really run down and very what did they call it? Very I forget when an area becomes like rubbish. Very like that in a lot of areas. So Blackpool, well done to Jim O'Neill. Certainly good that, and that's Reform's first councillor. And you know, I've got to say, guys, I have not particular love for Reform, but the fact that they're running and we have parties like the Workers' Party, they're taking thousands of votes off the Labour Party and the Tories, and that's got to be a plus for our party, independents, other political parties. And it's got to be a plus. But anyway, we're coming up. We've just done our hour. I was in London when Trump visited. We did a support the Trump demo. We got surrounded by the lefties for about 5 hours of a day, a Saturday, but we're still there shouted all the way through. And that was 2019, I think. And I spent 3 days in London then. And I want him to win because he's been persecuted. And the persecuted man must be saying something that's right if he's that much persecuted. It's just common sense, really. But he's my man to win. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. I think personally, I don't know if anyone's thought about this, how this might affect the upcoming vote. But there's currently a lot of hurricanes and displaced people in California, Appalachia, Florida, and with this election coming up, I don't know if that's going to affect people voting. It may very well do. So that'll be interesting and something to look out for. But at the moment, anyone is better than a Democrat. So,
yeah, I was going to bring up exactly the same thing because the areas where it's gone through are mainly red states. And even the blue states, it's taken out the rural areas, which tend to be 80-90% Trump in the rural areas. And thousands of them are not going to be able to vote. There's going to be nowhere for them to vote. And what you know, are they going to be too worried about voting when they've got to try and sort out a home? Or do you know what I mean? Firstly, yeah, mainly red states, mainly red voters, Trump voters. So they have said, I think it's part of Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina.
Yeah, they said that particular state, if the Democrats win that, then everyone's saying that Kamala will win.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's particularly down to one state, but no, it is an issue, them hurricanes, and I've seen a lot of things saying that people they're not allowing people with helicopters to go up to them and drop things off and, you know, do like stuff like that, aid stuff. That's what I've heard, but I can't be saying. Man-made hurricane, I don't think so, because hurricanes have been documented for hundreds of years, unless Harp was out 300 years ago.
I have to disagree with that, because there are patents in the 60s that say that they actually say that they can control the weather.
Oh, no.
They can make hurricanes, they can make them bigger, they can get rid of them, and they can turn them. And there are actual US patents that have done that. So they documented, they proved it.
I agree, but they've been documented for hundreds of years. since the people on America documented these hurricanes. So nobody can say that they're just out this time just to smash California up, because if you know anything about the weather system, we have the North Atlantic current, which brings warm water and warmness to England. That's why we have palm trees in Cornwall. That's why and that goes up past the side of America, and it causes people need to look into how weather is sometimes and not just come out with blunt things. Yes, they do spray things in the air and all that lot, but hurricanes, like I said, have been documented since people arrived in America. The first settlers documented them tornadoes in the middle of America 300 years ago. Now, Hart wasn't around 300 years ago, guys, so don't tell me that it's only now that they're coming out when they've been documented. And if you want to look at the wider world, the Chinese were documented typhoons 1,000 years ago, guys. So come on, don't give me any bullshit saying we're only just coming out. And I do agree that they can manipulate things to a certain level, but they can't manipulate it past a certain level.
Did you see the path that this Helene took? This one went over Florida. It was on its way out to sea, and then it turned an almost right angle to go back in. And that for me stuck out. Even the weatherman over there say it's not normal for it. Once it gets over Florida or they go out to sea, they don't turn a right angle back in. So I do personally think this one's been manipulated.
They don't always, but I don't believe you can manipulate a storm front that big, Stuart. No, you might be able to manipulate something over a town or a city, but over
but what if you can change the direction?
No, people don't have that sort of power. That's God's will. That is that sort of weather. That ain't what we can do. We might be able to drop rain on places and stuff like that and cloud seed, but every natural disaster isn't orchestration, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. You know, natural disasters has always been going on, just like climate change has always been a thing. Ice ages come and go. I mean, it's not so long since we come out of a mini ice age, apparently. You know,
in terms of the Earth is 6 billion years old. It was 30,000 years ago was at the end of the last ice age, and that is a short time in the 6 billion years. That's what they mean. You know what I mean? And it's about the same time that humans have been on the world. But right, well, we're not getting into that. But anyway, God bless America. Let's get that tune up one more time, guys, before we go. Where I've got to try and play it from the beginning if I can. Isn't it? Why won't it let me play it from beginning? That's a bit mad, that. All right, here we go. El President Trump there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the panel tonight. Our main man, Steve Wild, and our new man, Stuart there, getting well into it. And I'm sure we'll have more coming up soon. I'm not sure what our topic is for next week. I might talk about some of the by-elections that we've had, actually, over the past couple of years. I was a big participant in the Batley by-election, and I spent 5 days up there, and I can tell you a lot about what people were saying and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we'll do some election stuff next week. But thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Andrew, for reminding me about Blackpool. That's a big stuff. Thank you, George Benson. Thank you, Big Vinny, Paul, Serena, Mark Williams. Thank you very much, guys. And we've only got 240 watching. Let me see how many are on Twitter. There's a few on Twitter. Most of them are on Twitter. But please like and subscribe to all the channels. If you're going to donate, we've got a PayPal link there, guys. And any kind of questions or anything, we've got admin at nationalisingparty.uk. But any last words, guys?
Just fingers crossed for November the 5th, because I think it's going to really, really affect us.
Remember the 5th of November. Let's see if we do,
Any chance we can bring Guy Fawkes back for our lot?
Thank you very much. God bless you all. Good night. Don't forget, Late Night Veteran Show, 9 p.m. Friday, and I'll be in Liverpool, 1 o'clock Saturday. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.